we drove 3,000, and I had never driven a semi before, so I took one truck up to turn it in. We had a big terminal up there in Toledo, and I got in this truck and never drove a semi in my life, and here goes. I drove back to Fremont in that semi, and I drove that for 6 months, and then the job opened up in the office. I become office manager, using the word manager loosely. Just me. But stayed there until my boss used to call on the stations, just more or less courtesy calls. They were all over about 7 or 8 counties, and he had a company car and everything. He had a heart attack. It was not a real serious one, but they wanted him to get off going around driving and all that thing. So he said to me, he said, "Do you want to be the supervisor, station supervisor?" And I said, "Sure." So I got his car, a Ford of some kind, and we started, that's what I started there, and I think I worked at that job 3 years, till 1950. In other words, when if a dealer wanted out, he decided he had enough, well, I'd find somebody else that wanted to be a dealer, and take an inventory, price out the inventory, work out a sale, the whole thing. And so that worked out pretty good. Then from there I went, his name was Charlie Mack. He was our district manager, and I didn't know him very well, but he'd come around once every month or so. And one day he called me into Toledo, that's where he had his headquarters, and he said, "I want you to go to Defiance, Ohio as the branch manager." Oh. And of course I said, "Well, I'll think it over and I'll call you tomorrow." So I went home, and by that time we had moved into a house that we bought. I said, "Well, I'll rent a house in Defiance." And that's where we started. My wife wanted to be close to school. She said, "That is a must." Of course, we had 3 kids, the youngest David, Jim, and Pam. Pam was about 2nd grade, I would say. I'm not sure. And I said, "Okay, of course I was going there. I'd stay all week in a motel and everything. And somehow, I guess I read it in the paper, house rent. It was right across from the school. And you couldn't get any closer to the school. The house behind us, the nuns lived in it. So we were surrounded with school and nuns. And the only drawback, it had a coal-fired furnace.
Yeah.
Of course, back in the 50s, a lot of coal was used then yet. So then we moved, and I found another house after about a year, and the one floor was fairly new. I rented that, and we moved in. So that started along moving from one state to another state. If you wanted to get ahead, you didn't turn many transfers down where they were promotions. They might not ask you again the next time, and so we moved from Defiance to Cleveland, Cleveland to Huntington, West Virginia, Huntington to Parkersburg, Parkersburg back to Cleveland, and then in 1967 we moved to Columbus, Ohio, where I became operations manager for 3 divisions: Ohio, West Virginia, and Norfolk, Virginia, yeah. So that started, and I was operations manager for, I think, 16 years until I decided to, they were making some changes, and they handed me, in a conference situation, they handed me the, it was the goldenrod color, and it was the transfer and pay raise. They knew I was going to go to Chicago, and I said, I'll let you know tomorrow. And my wife had been ill at that time, and we talked about it, and she said, you go ahead and make the move. And she said, I'll stay here. And I said, no. She had her doctors. She had been quite ill. And I wasn't going to start her out with a new bunch of doctors. Not that they could do much for her, but I was ready to. I had had enough. That was 39 years from the day I started till I retired. Was 39 years and 5 months.
All of that with Union Oil?
Well, no. No, I went from high speed, which actually was a jobber, and then you gotta think a minute. And then Pure Oil took over. This high speed company was a jobber of Pure Oil Company. In other words, they handled their own products, or they handled Pure Oil products. But they had their own. They were their own entity. So then, from Pure Oil Products in 1964, I'd just gone back to Cleveland. We had excuse me. We had a change the oil company in California, Unical, Union Oil California. We merged with them. Pure Oil merged with Union Oil of California, and that we marketed then as Union Oil for probably 16, 17 years. And then when I retired then in '46, after 39 years, the company came along and had they wanted to cut down on the number of employees, and the best way to do is to offer a special deal for retirement. And this deal was we will add 3 years to the retirement formula, to whatever years you've got. So I had 49 years and 5 months, 39 years and 5 months. So they add 3 years, so now I've got 42 years and 3 months in figuring my retirement. I said, where do I sign? And I guess 30 days later I was retired.
Wow.
And that's about it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.